What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we are talking about caffeine. Now, whether it's a cup of coffee or an energy drink, most of us have ingested caffeine at some point in our life. It's one of the most widely used drugs on the planet, and today we're going to dive into the pros, the cons, and how it affects your body. Let's get into it. So what is caffeine exactly? Caffeine is usually classified as a stimulant, meaning it stimulates the central nervous system. That's how it gives you energy. Sometimes also described as a nootropic, which means it can have effect on how we think, our focus level, and how we process information. The molecular structure of caffeine is 8 carbon atoms, 10 hydrogen atoms, 4 nitrogen atoms, and 2 oxygen atoms. So we're going to get into the benefits, how it affects your body, and maybe some risks involved with caffeine. Let's move on. Alright guys, so when caffeine is ingested into the body, it actually breaks down into 3 similar but a little bit different molecules. So you got theobromine here, it's going to help increase brain function. Paraxanthine, I believe that's how it's pronounced, is going to increase fat breakdown to help fuel the muscles and increase athletic performance slightly. Theophylline is going to increase the heart rate and up our focus level. So let's get into how it affects the brain and how it can affect your sleep. Alright, so switching from caffeine for a second, we're going to talk about adenosine real quickly. So adenosine is a molecule that helps make you feel sleepy. It eventually helps you fall asleep. So 6 a.m., say you wake up at 6 a.m., adenosine starts accumulating the minute you wake up, and it usually peaks from about 12 to 16 hours afterwards. So you see, wake up at 6 a.m., eventually it gets higher and higher and higher, it builds up more, and by 10 p.m., you're probably feeling a little bit tired, you're ready to go to bed. So what does this have to do with caffeine? Alright, so how caffeine acts on the body is related to adenosine in the fact that they have very similar molecular structures. So as adenosine builds up throughout the day, you have more and more adenosine building up. They want to bind to these adenosine receptors, which when they bind, that's what makes you sleepy, drowsy, makes you tired, and eventually fall asleep at night. But when caffeine shows up in the body, since they have similar structures, caffeine can actually bind to these same receptors, blocking adenosine, which is why caffeine makes you feel more alert, awake, etc. Here's the thing. Caffeine wears off a few hours later. I believe it has a half-life of around between 3 to 7 hours, depending on the person. And adenosine is still building up during this time. It doesn't stop building up until you fall asleep, and it starts building up when you wake up again. So you're building up more and more adenosine in your system. Once this caffeine, and by the way, your body is also adapting it's building more receptors because it wants to go to sleep, sensing something is not right. So when the caffeine gets out of your system, this is where the caffeine crash happens. All this adenosine is going to just flood all these receptors and all these extra receptors, and that's why you get that big crash after caffeine sometimes, and that's how you can build up a dependability on it. So from the diagram I just demonstrated, you can see how people can build up a tolerance and a dependability on caffeine. You start with a cup of coffee, 30 days later you need 2 or 3 cups to get the same effect, and eventually you're drinking it throughout the day. You're drinking a pot of coffee a day or 3 Bang energy drinks a day, something crazy like that. There's a lot of research on, I found anything dosages from start at 100 milligrams and don't go above 400 milligrams, and then again I know people that have consumed closer to 1,000 milligrams in a day and are still alive. So my suggestion, again, take it from me, I'm not a doctor, I don't even have a degree of any sort, but I do study this stuff quite a bit, so I would say if you're new to caffeine, start with around 80 to 100 milligrams, that's roughly a cup of coffee. Don't go to caffeine straight away in the morning. I would drink at least 20 ounces of water because most likely you're a little bit groggy in the morning just because you're very dehydrated, you haven't drank anything during the night. So water first, then if you're still tired, go to the caffeine. I think a lot of people get into the habit of it just being a habitual thing, even if they don't really need it sometimes, they still go for that cup of coffee just because it's kind of their ritual. They like having that cup of joe in the morning, and then slowly increase from 100 milligrams, maybe go up to 2, and then I would cycle off it every now and again because you can build up that dependability. Your body's building more adenosine receptors. That's why you need more and more caffeine to stay awake. Just take a little bit of time off. It's a few weeks, maybe it'll be a couple months depending on how bad your usage was, just to let your body adjust, reduce the amount of receptors. I hope you guys like these kind of videos, the whiteboard videos. I think they don't take a long time to edit. or record, and I think they're sort of informational. Let me know what you guys think. If you do enjoy these videos, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment any suggestions down below. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.